Cool to be out here. I went to college at Kutztown, not too far from here. I was a journalism major at Kutztown University, which means I am very poor. A lot of people are worried about their identities getting stolen. I'm just like, you can fucking take mine. You can probably do better with it than I am. Yeah, my first journalism job, I worked for a weekly newspaper called the Kutztown Area Patriot. And my first story that I ever covered as a professional journalist was a haunted house. You guys heard haunted house, you think like Six Flags, Hershey Park, like an attraction? No, I mean some lady called my editor and was like, I heard something in my attic. And my editor was like, I'll send someone right away. It's weird, man. I went to this lady's house, I recorded her conversation. I thought she was just out of her mind. I get back to my apartment and I listen to this recording that I have, and in the background of our conversation, I hear this voice that goes, "Get out now. Get out now." And I got so scared, I ran into my roommate's room. I was like, "Hey, buddy, you gotta listen to this." And that's just a long way of telling you about the first time I walked in on my roommate jerking off. There's no real point to that story, I'm sorry. Second last year, keep going. I vowed, I want to travel more, but I vowed I'm never taking road trips again. Because I learned that if you really want to ruin all of your good friendships, go on a road trip, that's fine. I remember over the summer I went to Charleston, South Carolina. I took a road trip with two guys I hadn't seen in a while. Way down there it was totally fine. We talked, we caught up. The way back there were totally different people. Like at one point it started raining, my buddy that was driving looks behind him, and he goes, "Hey, it's raining, you know what that means?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Wipers on, lights on." 13 hours before that, we were doing cocaine at a strip club. And this is who this asshole is now? Seriously? My favorite, I took one good road trip. I went to Atlanta, Georgia when I was 20 years old. Actually, it was a horrible experience, except for the last night when our motel caught on fire. That was a lot of fun. And it was the most, I don't like to stereotype Southern indignity or like that kind of thing, but I saw it in person. The fire was on the third floor, top left corner of the motel. There's a guy standing about 50 feet away from the flames, 5 feet away from the stairs with a shirt off and a cigarette in his mouth. And the firefighter's like, "Hey man, just walk down the stairs." This guy yells back at the firefighters, "No, my tax dollars go to your fire engine, you come and get me." And the firefighter was like, "Actually, sorry, in Georgia, fire departments are all nonprofit organizations. We don't collect tax dollars." I was like, "Now's not the time for a fucking civics lesson. Just save this guy." And they did. All my stories end with my roommate jerking off. I'm very sorry. Make poor decisions. I married my high school girlfriend, which that's something any of you are thinking about doing. Don't. Fun fact, I actually got married at the same place where Carson Wentz got married. It's this place in Bucks County called the Lake House Inn. There's this giant honeymoon suite where the couple spends their first night together, and I threw up everywhere in that room. So that's not the reason I'm divorced, but it is a reason, yeah. I remember we were splitting up, me and my ex looked at me, we got in a lot of fights, and one day she looked at me and went, "What, Dan, did you think this was going to be forever?" I was like, "Maybe not forever, but at least until I die, yeah." You know, we had that big party, we said, "Till death do us part." That's not something I ever say to anyone else, right? Like, I gotta get my tires changed next week. It'd be weird. Mechanic goes, "Dan, that'll be $400. And I go, "Till death do us part." One, I kiss him, right? Who knows, I might do it. We'll see what happens. Dating's scary. I'm not good at sex because I only had sex with one person from the time I was 18 to 25. And like a couple weeks ago, I went home with a young lady who asked me to choke her while we were having sex, and that's the scariest thing anyone's ever asked me to do. So what if I like it? And then what if I keep doing it, and what if I just get too good at choking women? I don't want to be that guy. Here's the thing, it turns out I'm not, because when you're having sex with someone and you're choking them, you're not supposed to cry and tell them you love them. Not right away anyway, save it for the third date. On Tinder, that's terrible. I matched up with one girl a couple weeks ago. She messaged me in all capital letters. She goes, "I'm 5'3" Is that going to be a problem?" I was like, "Yeah, probably." Sounds like you want to make it one. Like, what are you pissed off about if you're 5'3"? You go on most roller coasters with an adult, right? see what you're mad about. I got one message, we were having a good conversation, and at one point I asked her what she'd been doing that night. She went, well, for the past hour, I've been watching videos of dogs farting on YouTube. And I was like, you could have lied to me. I don't need the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on Tinder. Everything's dangerous. I got a message once, this girl wanted to go hiking for our first date, and that seems wildly irresponsible, right? Like the first thing you want to do with someone you meet on the internet is go to the woods. Seriously? I don't like to blame the victim, but I think if you're the kind of person who wants to go hiking with someone you met on Tinder, you're also the kind of person who wants to die in the woods. Everything's dangerous. Everything's so dangerous now. I was driving in Philly a couple weeks ago, and I almost accidentally kidnapped a guy. I got stopped at a red light outside of the bar, and some guy starts pulling on my backhand. He goes, hey man, you're my Uber driver. And I was like, that's a weird thing to accuse someone of. He's like, no, you're in a Mazda 6, you have to be my Uber driver. And here's the thing, I don't know anything about cars, but I do know that I don't have the only Mazda 6 in Philadelphia. I know that much. I got mad because I drove away. I know what I would have done. I would have let him in my car, would have dropped him off at like a crack house in Kensington. And been like, hey man, this isn't my house. And I've been like, this is the only house in Philadelphia. Fuck you. I love that joke because it lets me all know that you're just as evil as I am. It's cool. I can't talk though. I almost got sex trafficked when I ordered a pizza a couple months ago. That was a weird thing. What happened is the delivery guy called me and said, hey man, I'm out front of your house. And I walked out to go meet him, get the food, and he wasn't there, but who was? This is this lady in a big white SUV, and she just looks at me and goes, hey big boy, get in. And what I should have done, I should have been like, hey, I think you're the wrong person. What I did do is I looked at her and went, I ordered a pizza? She looked right back at me and went, we had this like weird stare off for a few minutes, and at one point the pizza guy came around the corner, and she drove away. I was like, dude, I think you just saved my life. He's like, Dan, this is the third time this week you ordered from us. You're getting diabetes. We're not saving your life. Fine, how much would that be? He went $10.99. I went till death do us part. One, I kissed the guy. It's fine. I learned last year. I learned a lot last year. I learned hospice workers are some of the most underrated people in the medical community. I think they do a lot of great work. Yeah, or fucking whatever. No, my grandma died last year, and here's one thing I learned about hospice. If you come from a poor family like mine, your family member that's in hospice care gets a roommate who's not in hospice care. They're just there. Like the last time me and my sister went to go see my grandmother, we had to walk past this lady's bed, and when the second we cross her bed, she gets up and goes, it comes from below. And I was like, this is scary, Grandma, I'll see you at the funeral, it's been real. That was my first time in church in a while. I hadn't been to church in a minute. And I learned that the Bible's a little bit more poetic than I thought it was, but they're kind of lacking in vocabulary for women. I learned that because there's two Marys in the Bible. There's the Virgin Mary, and there's Mary Magdalene. If you don't know Mary Magdalene, she was a whore. I didn't say that. That was what they did. Like there's no, that's all you are. You're a virgin or a whore. There's no 9 to 5 Mary. That's the Mary I want to read about. Are we a dog crowd? We like dogs in here? Yeah. I love dogs. Here's the thing. I don't like dog people because dog people have bumper stickers. Like the other day I was driving behind a guy with one that said, my dog is smarter than your honor student. And I think if you have that bumper sticker, you should have 2 more. One that says, I dropped out of middle school, and another that says, my mother decided the 3rd trimester was the best trimester to try, say it with me, meth. Guys, have a good night. Wonderful. Have a good night.